All right, let's talk about Ray J for a minute. I want to go into this real quick. I thought this was interesting. He's on Cam Newton's show, and they kind of go into the whole Kim Kardashian tape and talk about who benefited more. I mean, Ray J has been around a long time, man. The first time I ever caught wind of Ray J, I'm not sure if he had music out before he was on Moesha. But, when he was on Moesha, obviously he was, coming into the industry as Brandy's little brother. And, Brandy back in the 90s being famous was obviously a whole different thing long before the internet and going viral and, artists crashing out and doing all kind of crazy things. So he's been around the industry so long. And eventually, Ray J in the long run has really become more famous than Brandy, but doesn't have the same legacy, royalty type of fame as Brandy. But he's in many respects a lot more famous than Brandy has become. So, but obviously way back, I want to say the tape might have been in 2002 or 3 when him and Kim Kardashian, the famous sex tape, when that first came out. And that kind of did a lot of things for Kim Kardashian, obviously, because people didn't really know who she was by and large until that sex tape came out. And then, obviously that was the whole era when, sex tapes like Paris Hilton, she had a sex tape, and it was like sex tapes were launching these women into different stratospheres. And then, they talk about in this interview who benefited more. So let me let this play.
Now, the previous question was, who benefited more? It's just I'm asking.
Who do you think? I mean, you know the answer to that. That's
yeah, but I can't assume though, bro.
But here's what I want. Here's what I want us to be able to do. I want us to be able to know, like, there's certain answers
Okay.
You know who benefited more.
Yes.
Like, I mean,
But when you use names and refrain from using other names, where you're like, yo, Chris Humphries, like, yo, Reggie Bush, that's very descriptive, and there's not a lot of people who've dated.
Because Reggie Bush and Chris Humphries aren't gonna come kill me.
That's cool. But there's a line in a rap that says, I bet me and Ray J will be friends if we ain't love the same chick.
Bitch.
The only thing
He didn't
is...
say chick, he said bitch.
Yeah, I'm trying to refrain from...
Oh, you don't do curse on here?
No.
Sorry.
That's just...
Oh yeah, you're just a good person.
I'm trying.
You're a role model, bro.
I'm not.
I think so.
Trust me.
I think you're a role model.
Yeah, but have you talked to Kanye?
I've talked to Kanye plenty of times. I've been with Ye. Pause. Whoa. I was gay as fuck. Shout out to the gay agency. Yeah, no, I'm cool with Ye. We talked about it a few times after he got shitted on, then he started to understand, but he wasn't listening to me in the beginning.
Well, anyway, you remember there was a time where, Ray J a couple of years ago, he came out with a song called I Hit It First. And at one point, him and Kanye were not getting along or not cool because obviously at the time, Kanye was still married to Kim Kardashian. But the question is, like, who benefited more? Now, the sex tape, you could look at it like this, right? Ray J was already a little bit famous at the time of the sex tape, or he was much more known than Kim Kardashian. Now, who benefited more? I would say that here's the thing about Kim Kardashian. This is what I'll say. And I think this is the crux of the difference between where her career went and where Ray J is. Now, Ray J in his own right is successful, so I'm not trying to say he's not successful. But the reason why Kim Kardashian became a billionaire is mainly because that family, I don't know the inner workings of what goes on in that family, but one thing we do know is that the mom and that whole family, they are business oriented, right? So Kim Kardashian is one person that she took the sex tape, but I don't think the sex tape in and of itself made her a billionaire. I think that when you look at it, she took a road of being famous, but she's kind of quiet. Kim Kardashian is kind of low. You know what I'm saying? She dresses a certain way. She has her beauty. She has her fashion. She has her businesses, but she really ain't out here talking reckless. And that's the difference, I think. So I think with Ray J, obviously you see his trajectory has went a little bit weird, I think, a lot of times, because if you ask me, if you remember years back, him and Fabulous got into something crazy, and he was on this drug-fueled rant on the Breakfast Club. It's the drugs and the drinking and how you present yourself, which determines the trajectory for you. So I think with Ray J, I think if he had went in a different direction and wasn't taking drugs and wasn't presenting himself so wildly, he could have took the fame and even parlayed more money and more business. You know what I'm saying? Kanye's a whole different story as far as marrying Kim Kardashian, but Kanye, again, I mean, look, at the end of the day, Kim Kardashian didn't do anything much different than any other woman. The difference is that she found some way to still be classy and handle her business, and they sold the lifestyle, keeping up with the Kardashians and all the ancillary brands around it, right? And but she found a way to have a sex tape but still be seen somewhat as somebody who's not necessarily slutty, right? Long term, right? People looked at her like that initially, but what she ended up doing, she's pretty quiet, and when she does speak, she sounds generally pretty intelligent. I never saw her in any drug-fueled rants on TV or any drug-fueled rants on radio. And she just had different boyfriends and married Kanye and has had boyfriends before and after and all that like any other person. But I think that's the biggest difference. Ray J, to me, has been crashing out, because I think that, we're about to say he's probably a little bit younger than me. I'm about Brandy's age, but, you see Ray J, he obviously is, he's not wildly out of shape, but he's definitely been into the drugs. That's been an obvious thing. Like I said, if you go back to when him and Fabulous had that thing on the Breakfast Club, and I think Ray J's brand has just gotten a little bit more. He's not really known for business per se as far as his imagery, right? And I think that has a lot to do. Your brand revolves around how you act and how people see you. So you got to understand, like, people like a Jay-Z is always known for business. People like Nas, they're known for business. You don't really see them in, whether they're married or not married, because Nas is not married, but you don't see Nas running around, dimming his brand by, smoking and drinking and just, looking like Hollywood washed you over.
Spend enough time, but I think we spend enough time for me to tell him, bro, the shit you did to me, bro, it's fucked up, bro. And if you really want to make it right, then I need you to apologize for what you did to me when I gave you all that information and you went back and gave it to the other side and just shitted on me when you knew everything I said was true. So he apologized. And y'all should pull this clip up since it's edited. He apologizes to me on Drink Champs and breaks it all down. Same time he was going on his other rant. So all this shit got tucked under.
It got washed away.
It didn't even matter for what he was doing. But he gave me a dope ass apology, bro, and then
and you accepted it.
You
received it.
I seen it, but I told him after, like, I would hit him like, bro, I need my own moment. Like, I need a moment. You know what you was doing. You did it inside of another chaotic moment.
It was a lot of chaos that was going. It was a lot of mayhem.
So nobody even cared at the time, But he made it right.
Like I said, man, Ray J, I think he had the potential to do a lot more with the fame. And look, he became a lot more famous than I ever thought he was going to be. Like I said, in the beginning, in the 90s, he was like Brandy's brother. He had a chance to act on Moesha. And I'm sure he had other acting parts after that. But that was kind of, from what I remember, his start. And, he made music. He had his biggest hit was Sexy Can I with Young Berg, who is now Hitmaker, obviously. And he's had a lot of good moments, man, and then obviously For the Love of Ray J and all the other reality shows down the line. But I think when you have a chance in Hollywood and you have a chance to really, propel your brand, you decide which way you're going to go, one way or the other. And I think that, again, he's not on the soup line. He's not, anywhere near broke, I'm sure. But his brand, your brand is up to you. And when you look at who benefited as far as that sex tape, the sex tape really didn't matter, in my opinion. The sex tape, because Kim Kardashian could easily not have become a billionaire. The sex tape allowed the opportunity for people to start talking about her. But, at the end of the day, it's about business moves, and it's about, how you present yourself and not being out here talking crazy. Because if she was out here talking just as crazy as like Ye, or out here catching her at clubs, or catching her on interviews looking like she's high on all types of different drugs, or snooted or zooted out of her mind, she wouldn't be able to get those brand deals. She wouldn't be able to sell herself like that. Her brand would have just been watching her crash out on reality shows, but they would not have been able to parlay that into real money. So you got to give it up to that Kardashian family, because at the end of the day, look, that's what they were about. They were about their business. You know what I'm saying? So I think, this is just a weird, another weird kind of interview for Ray J. But, I hope that, honestly, look, I don't mean to be super judgmental, but I hope he stops smoking, stops all the drinking, and, clears himself up, because at the end of the day, he doesn't look healthy, and he looks like he's going in the wrong direction. And that's honestly, that's the same direction I see Kanye. These guys are starting to get way out of shape. You know what I'm saying? They're getting out of shape. They're doing too many drugs. Their mind is not clear. And, their brands, Kanye's in a different category, but Ray J's brand, I think, could have been a lot bigger. That's what I think. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Crucial Convo. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I'll holler at you in a minute. Out of here.